there he is.
I'll make an offer you can't refuse.
Nice Suits, nice.
I turned the blinds the other way, guys. I think
No. Sharky, if you go back and watch this interview from where we start to where we end, it's like Suits is going to give the order for the hit, and then all of a sudden there's just going to be a just.
One of the great movie series of all time, right? Like just one of the greatest.
Making statements and changing the color of the blinds as he makes statements, right? Riders are going to finish first.
Glenn, I know you probably wouldn't have a lot to say, but has anybody knocked on your door where you live out in BC from any of the political parties to come by and say hi?
Well, if they did, no, it hasn't happened. But if they did, I'd be happy to listen to both. I'm pretty sure which.
Well, there's five. There's 5 parts. Glenn, there's 5 national parties in Canada, not just 2.
No, hang on.
Are you trying to influence the vote?
I hear you.
Maz, you can't do that. One of those parties is not a national party. It's a Quebec party. It should never get spoken out of outside of Quebec. That's the only place we should ever hear about them. They shouldn't be on any national programs. They shouldn't get any national coverage. They should be zero outside of Quebec.
Well, there's a strong political statement right there. Hey, listen, I'll move it, and I'll say that I won't say who I'm voting for. I'm already decided. I won't say it out loud, except for to say that it's Easter weekend coming up, and I'm wondering if people can anymore even afford. Most of Canadians can afford to paint Easter eggs when eggs are as expensive as they are. And I think that alone and the frustration with regards to that and so many other things in our country right now is a strong indication as to what direction. I think, though, we should talk. This silo approach, only in your algorithm and only your stuff, and only, let's listen to everybody talk and because there's some good ideas out there. Even if it's the party you're not voting for, there's some good ideas, and, let's try and collaborate a little bit.
And Suits, you're so passionate about the military and recognizing those. Now, it was a couple weeks ago in Edmonton at the Polyev rally, and I would applaud this for any of the political parties, but they asked, are there any veterans in the crowd? And they would, yes. And there was a gentleman, he was 100 years old, that came on June 6th to Juno Beach and landed and was able to help. So that got me it was a little right here. I was like, wow. Yeah. I can only imagine what he's seen in his lifetime, this country going through its ups and downs. But I was like, you know what? That was great of them. And I wish all of the political parties, if they are having rallies, get-togethers, whatever, honor those people. Like, if it's important, honor them, call them out. The people that have fought for our freedom, when I thought that was a really nice touch. He's 100 years old. He landed at Juno Beach on D-Day.
I got goosebumps just hearing the story. I really did. And I'm, in all sincerity, my trip to Normandy, and we've talked about it, but just reading the tombstones of 19 to 25-year-olds and the messages from their parents, try to put yourself in that position for a second mentally. I wonder, I stood on that beach wondering how I would have reacted. I mean, they just, those boat doors opened and they hit the beach and they went after it. And Canadians are so well respected in the world when it comes to how they battle in these wars. And they're still going on, and we're still in that dangerous time. And there's still a huge importance that we fully fund, take care of our military, take care of our veterans, fully fund the ones that are in action right now. It's hugely important, and not just with the U.S. thing and what's going on. I mean, we're going to be partners with them at some point. It's so important. Did I tell you, have I ever told you guys how I got so involved with the military, how it started?
No, I can't recall.
I'll give you the quick Cole's notes. I was reading the Province newspaper years and years ago. No, it's no longer a newspaper. It was actually the hard copy newspaper. And the Canucks had just been knocked out of the playoffs. And the first 7 pages of the newspaper was about the Canucks getting knocked out of the playoffs. And then in a small little column on page 8, there was a story of an American soldier, not a Canadian, that was after dying because he jumped on a hand grenade in a mission in the Middle East somewhere to save all of his unit, and he was 20 years old, and he was being awarded, how do you say it,
posthumously.
Thank you. Yeah. Posthumously, the Purple Heart, I believe it was, for diving on a hand grenade to save the other people in his unit. And this kid was 20 years old and made that decision. And it was 7 pages of Canucks. And I'm not, it's not the Canucks' fault, but I just thought, these guys sign up. There's lots of good causes to get behind and use your podium, but I thought, I'm going to support the military. This story needs to be on page 1, not on page 8. And I need to do what I can to help to, just be a messenger for them. And then I became an honorary colonel through all of that time, and to be around those people. I mean, those are driven all Canadians. I'm telling you, if you want to be around people that I got your back, you got mine, go hang out with the military for a while.
And we're missing that in this country. We don't have that. And like that, talking about, our bonding point is we're all Canadian. But that kind of, like you said, it's in silos. Everybody's got their corner or their little chunk carved out over here. All right. So speaking of the Canucks, let's go back to sports. They didn't make the playoffs. It's probably not breaking news, but there was a little dressing room drama this year. And for whatever reason, they're taking the summer off, and it's going to be all good. So the playoff schedule comes out today. Suits, Jets and Blues, nothing better than the President's Trophy winners coming from Winnipeg. Proud military team. Could this be the year the Jets finally win a Stanley Cup?
I know that they're a good hockey team. I keep hearing that. I see it on news and sports and watching SportsCenter and things like that. I haven't really watched a lot of Jets hockey, but I'm all for, even if it's, and this is going to be strange, but even if it's the Leafs, and I almost cringe, like I want the Canadian flag on their jerseys, on their helmet. I want a Canadian team to once again finally win the Stanley Cup. That's what I'm cheering for. So whichever looks, I mean, it was all Oilers last year. And I was thinking, I don't care. I'm not an Oilers fan. I'm a Connor McDavid fan. I'm not an Oilers fan, but I'll tell you what, I'll take it if they can win the cup. And so, yeah, it's the Canadian teams. And if it happened to be Toronto, I would bite through, leather to them. I do it.
Suits.
It'd be hard.
I'm with you on the bite through, but I actually think this might be their year. And if it's not, there's going to be an explosion in Toronto. Like, they're going to have to blow some of that up. They can't keep doing what they're doing. It's this year or nothing for them.
I always look at no matter what the sport is, I look at the leaders and, I wonder, are they those guys? Are they the Steve Yzermans? Are they the guys that will get the greasy goals too? The guys that will, win in the corner more than they lose, those little battles, and they will lead by example with that. They'll be the first in the back check. Those type of guys. That's my question with the Leafs when I watch them. I know they're skilled. Their leaders are skilled. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're those guys. That's my own question.
I will put it to you this way. The guy who missed the check on Connor McDavid in the Four Nations Cup when he scored the winning goal was Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to bring up his name, but now that you have,
It was Austin Matthews.
Well, and so it's funny. Out of all of those guys, he's the least of my worries. Like if a William Nylander or a Mitch Marner in games 1 or 2 drops down and were to block a shot, they don't have to go face first into it, but just basically go try and pay the price. Your teammates would see that. I think fans would see that. Suits, it's exactly what you're talking about. Are they willing to pay the price to go? Because you saw Florida last year, and look what was waiting for them after, everything that they had to do. Everybody was diving in front of the puck. The goal scorers, the fourth line guys, just anybody and everybody, because if they did, they're immortal, because once your name's on the cup, it stays there forever.
Yeah, and when you think of that, I think it was in Gretzky's book back in the day, and I know there's some controversy swirling around him right now, but back in the day when they were playing the Islanders and they lost in that first year in the Stanley Cup final, and he walked by their dressing room after they had won, and it wasn't this massive celebration. It was that they were so spent after giving every ounce they had to beat Edmonton. Gretzky at that moment said he realized, and I'm paraphrasing, but he realized that they weren't giving enough. It wasn't enough yet. And then they figured that out. And once they figured that out, they went on their run.
It's a war. It's a war to get through the playoffs. And so this is where I think Toronto has an advantage. They haven't gone very deep. They're not as beat up as Florida is. They're not as beat up as Tampa was. Ottawa's new to the mix. There's going to be a lot of things that I think Ottawa's going to make mistakes on. So this is where I think Toronto's got a chance. If you, like you say, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, make those, even Matthew Nyes, make those plays, take that hit, block that shot to make a difference. I think this group is there.
Sharky, I'm looking for leather right now. I'm just going to get ready to have my fight. I'm going to just... I have to cheer for the Leafs. I don't know. Any other team.
I don't know if it's cheer for. Okay. I just believe this is their year. I'm not cheering for them. I just believe this is the year.
So on Saturday, the Jets and Blues will start with Game 1, 4 o'clock. Stars and Avalanche, Saturday at 6:30. Sunday, Glenn, Hurricanes, Devils at 1. You can prime yourself up for Leafs, Senators, Sunday at 5. All right, whatever it's going to take for you to get into the mode to cheer for Canada's team, that'll be Sunday at 5. And let's see, then we're kind of all over the map. Oh, Golden Knights and Wild, Sunday at 8. Then on Monday, Caps and Habs. The Habs are coming in hot. And then Kings, Oilers at 8, your guy McDavid. And then Panthers, Lightning doesn't start until Tuesday next week.
How do you guys
in Tampa?
How do you guys think the Oilers are going to do going as deep as they did last year and coming up short? And they've played a lot of hockey with the fewest sort of time to rest and for the next season. That all accumulates on you quickly. I always wonder about that in the second year. It'll be interesting to see the Oilers out of the gate.
I think they're in a bit of trouble. I really do. LA has played so well at home. Like 5 regular time losses or not in overtime. LA has probably played better than they have the last 3 or 4 years. Edmonton is banged up. They're going to be without Ekholm. Skinner's still trying to get all the marbles going the same direction in his head from the concussions. I mean, this is a team that's not 100% going into the playoffs, and they're gonna need some breaks to get through this. And LA's coming in really sharp and ready, and they scare me. LA scares me right now, taking out Edmonton.
Yeah. Well, but be interesting though. I'll wait till we get to some Game 7s before I really dig in.
Nice committal stage. In Game 7, I'd like to get. I'd put some money down now.
Check back with Suits in about 3 weeks. He'll give you your first round predictions after the round 1's over. That's like, If you're a hockey fan, this is the best time of year. I think a lot of us could agree that the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs is some of the best hockey you will see. And then for whatever, they just can't keep up that pace. Eventually it catches up with you. But the first round of the playoffs, because seems like there's games on every night, game after game, the intensity from start to finish. And so last weekend, if you're a golfer, you had your Masters. This weekend for wrestling, it's WrestleMania, which we'll get into later in the hour. And with the Stanley Cup playoffs starting this weekend, should be fun. All right, to football.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers showed up on the Pat McAfee show. Now, that's not breaking news because him and McAfee are friends and he's on all the time. And he talked about his trip and his visit to Pittsburgh. Wanted to go see the facilities and all that, but there's still no deal. Glenn, did you ever have to deal with any teammates that were or thought they were bigger than the team, the organization? It was always about them and their issues and their drama? Because he seems like, and I like Aaron Rodgers, but he seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we're on the outside looking in, and part of that is part of his, I think it's sort of a planned shtick that he has with all his podcasts and his opinions, and he certainly doesn't hesitate to jump into the mainstream and talk about vaccinations and everything else. So, that's where I think he becomes pretty polarizing for fans. To answer your question though about players, it's a good one, because that's what I'd be looking for more than anything else when going to draft or combines or down to the States to mini camps. You look for those guys that are going to, we just talked about it, that are going to put their own egos aside. Humility is a strength, and it's seriously important in sports, team sports, to be able to put those personal goals aside and play your role, whatever that might be. If you come out of college as the star receiver, you might not be the star receiver in the next level, and you have to figure that out. So, when in all the years that I played, when we did have guys like that, and there were times, it was weird that we didn't win those years. The year that we won it all, very few, and if it happened very early and was fixed by the team, not by the coaching staff or the organization. If there was a guy that it got a little bit in their own head and was reading their clippings and thought pretty highly of themselves, that was taken care of by the leadership group in the locker room. And, that's when you talk about the Canucks. I wonder about that locker room thing that they had going on in Vancouver and how much that really divided the room. And I have honestly never, I can't think of an example of a team that went through that in really any of the sports, football, either side of the border, hockey, I don't know about soccer. I don't know anything about that really. But, when you look back, was there ever an example of that happening and a team won the championship? Was there ever a guy on the team that was, I don't know, one of those me guys that, was always coming up with something to say in the media or whatever? Did any one of those teams ever win the Super Bowl or the Grey Cup? I mean, I can't think of an example of one.
I think this, and you talked about leadership in the dressing room, and so I'm not going to say it's entirely Quinn Hughes' fault, but he's the captain of that team. He should have resolved that.
He seems too meek. He seems too meek and quiet. He doesn't like an Ed Jovanovski or a Trevor Linden, like because they were bigger, more imposing guys.
That'd have been solved. That'd have been solved in there, and it should have never got to this stage. They should have moved both of the guys, not one of them. They should have shipped them both out. You two guys go pout somewhere else, go deal with your problems somewhere else. But that's on the dressing room. Dressing room's got to fix that.
Yeah, I agree, and the grown men too. I mean, this is got to be worked out before it ever gets to the public. I mean, it happens in every locker room all the time. I mean, these are grown men from different parts of the world, different countries sometimes, and different ideals and different algorithms. and they're all sitting in the same locker room. And those teams, and we're coming into CFL training camps, those teams that can find that chemistry early, those are the teams that get out ahead. Those are the teams that have everyone chasing them. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win. It doesn't mean, you know, you're not going to have your ups and downs. It just gives you the best chance, because you start to play for the guy beside you. You're not playing for money. You're not playing so that you can, you know, do your dance in the end zone and be the man. You're playing because you work so hard with your teammates. Now you can't surrender. You can't surrender. You can't give up. You can't. It's overtime, and you're fighting for the puck in the corner, and your legs are shaking. I mean, we've all been there. You can be there in senior men's, and if you have a locker room that you love, you're not quitting in that corner when you're fighting, and you don't give into it. You fight through it because you're fighting for the guy beside you. That's when you got a chance to win the championship.
So well said.
Nico Iamaleva is on line 1 for Glen Suitor and a pep talk. Nico, formerly of the Tennessee Volunteers, his $2.4 million. Did you see this today? He screwed up his $2.4 million NIL deal with Tennessee, and now if he does sign with USC with all the taxes and all that, or UCLA in California, he's going to come out with about $900,000. So he got himself a nice little haircut this week in the paycheck department. The $4 million demands. It's funny. Speaking of overplaying your hand, that kind of blew up.
That whole, you know, college and paying, and I'm not against college players making some money when they make so much as a school because of the players and because of the games and the sports. But you know, I just it starts to give the wrong motivation. It really does. You start to bounce around to schools. You start to, you know, like I've always questioned when a hockey player says, I want to be traded to a team that gives me a chance to win. That doesn't seem right to me. I want to go to a team that has already built the chemistry, and then I want to go there because then I can maybe win a cup. Like, let Bill, you know, the team that you have in your own locker room have the skill to win. They all have the skill to win. The difference is, will you make that commitment? Will you be disciplined enough to make every one of those decisions so that you continue to move forward? And if you slide back, which we all do, you make the next decision a strong one in the right direction, because every one of those decisions matter and discipline matters. Discipline is what we're missing now in the world, I think. Self-discipline, discipline in, you know, our opinions, what we say, how we say it. You guys got me fired up over here now.
Way to go, Maz. Way to go.
So listen, you made this political shark. You started calling out provinces. I was trying to sit on the fence.
I'll take the blame for that.
With my homogenizing. So, speaking of discipline, and it is Easter weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Cadbury cream eggs? Is it those Cadbury mini eggs? Or are you a traditional chocolate bunny guy? What's the one thing you need to stay away from sweets-wise over the next 48 hours? We'll wrap on this. If you have a weakness, what is it?
It sounds like you're Kramer trying to figure out what my password is. You seem like a guy that likes the cocoa bean. Let me see. You're a portly fella. You like those chocolate treats. Yeah, no, you know what? I don't really get into all that. I really even didn't when my kids were little. My wife took care of all that, and I watched them get excited about it, obviously. But no, not for me. It'll be a nice big family dinner, and in fact, it's going to be the Griswolds European vacation slide tour because the kids haven't seen the pictures yet. So,
love it.
Hey, if they want to free.
Well, your attitude's mother's maiden name and your first pet's name as well, please. And thank you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, hey, if the kids want a nice free meal, they got to sit through dad's slides. All right.
Yeah.
They're warning their spouses right now. Let's say there's a new boyfriend or girlfriend to be like, listen, my dad's going to do this slideshow. It's probably going to be like 2.5 hours. Just look interested. Okay. Just be like, yeah, okay, this is great. Ask questions every once in a while, but it'll be fine. Then maybe we need to leave early. So, all right, Suits. Well, have a happy Easter. We love you. We love we love The Godfather. We love the Fire It Up Suits. Press coverage with Glen Suitor is brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.